Hey Reddit. I'm not the type to write these long posts, but what happened to me, and to a few others, has never left my head. I think about it every single night. Every creak in the floor, every shadow that moves just a little too wrong, it all goes back to that house. And that bed. If you're someone who gets creeped out easily, maybe skip this one. But if you've ever looked into the eyes of someone you loved and saw something else looking back, you might want to read it. This all started in 2018, when I, Nick, 28 at the time, working remotely in graphic design, bought a house in upstate New York. I found it on Craigslist, believe it or not. I know how that sounds, but the listing had photos, a real agent number, and the house was dirt cheap. $42,000 for a fully furnished 2-bedroom house tucked behind a wooded trail near Lake Silverpine. I thought it was a dream. Quiet. Isolated. Exactly what I wanted. The photos were a little outdated, but that only made it more charming. The place looked like it hadn't been touched since the 70s. Faded floral wallpaper, avocado green appliances, dusty oil paintings of places I didn't recognize. It had a brown shag rug that had gone stiff with age and a big old maple tree in the front yard that twisted up like gnarled hands into the sky. But the part that really stuck out, and I didn't realize it until later, was the bedroom. The main bedroom had a tall 4-poster bed. Ornate and old. Like antique store level old. Its headboard had strange carvings, curling vines maybe? Or roots? I remember standing in the room the first time and just feeling like I was being watched. The bed was still made too, tightly, as if someone had just stepped out of it that morning. The comforter was an old reddish-brown floral pattern, and the pillows looked a little too plump, like someone had fluffed them recently. The rest of the room had dust, except for the bed. I slept in the guest room for the first week. Just felt weird about that master room. I told myself I'd eventually clean it out and replace the bed. But then my buddy Chris came to visit. Chris, classic American guy. Grew up in Colorado, loved beer, hiking, telling ghost stories that never scared anyone. He had a booming laugh and one of those deep voices that made every joke sound funnier. He came to visit for a weekend. I let him take the master bedroom since I still wasn't sleeping in it. The first night was normal. We grilled, drank beer on the porch, talked until maybe 2 a.m. But when I woke up the next morning, Chris was already up, sitting at the kitchen table, just staring at his coffee. I cracked a joke, and he didn't even smile. That was the first red flag. He said he didn't sleep well. Something about the room felt wrong. He said he had dreams that felt too real. He didn't remember them exactly, just that he woke up drenched in sweat, heart racing, like he'd been running from something. I brushed it off. Joked that maybe the ghost of the previous owner was tucking him in too tight. But the second night was worse. At 3:17 a.m., I woke up to a crash. Like someone had knocked over a piece of furniture. I grabbed my flashlight and went down the hallway. Chris was standing in the middle of the bedroom, in the dark, breathing heavy. The chair by the window was flipped over. The sheets were tangled on the floor. He was just standing there, in his boxers, barefoot, staring at the mirror on the closet door. "Chris?" I asked, my voice cracking from sleep. He didn't look at me. He just whispered, "It's under the bed." "What is?" Still no eye contact. It knows I'm awake now. The way he said it made my stomach turn. I asked if he was dreaming. He finally looked at me, and his eyes, man, they looked wrong. Like he wasn't all the way in there. Like someone had shoved Chris behind a curtain in his own head. The next morning, he left early. Didn't eat breakfast. Barely said goodbye. Texted me 2 days later saying he was fine, but he never came back. He wouldn't even talk about the house again. Every time I brought it up, he changed the subject or ghosted me for a few days. So yeah, that should have been enough. But I stayed. I told myself it was just a weird weekend. Then my cousin Rachel came to visit. I gave her the guest room, but on her second night she asked if she could move to the master bedroom. Said the guest bed was too firm and her back hurt. I felt a pit in my stomach. But I didn't want to sound like a lunatic, so I just said sure. Rachel was a nurse, logical, practical, no-nonsense type. She'd seen real horror in her job, so ghost stories never fazed her. But after the second night in that bed, she looked drained, pale, jumping at small noises. She said she'd been waking up with bruises on her arms. Small, finger-shaped ones. "You sure you didn't hit the wall in your sleep?" I asked, trying to be calm. She just stared at me and said, "Nick, I dreamed someone was holding me down." But I couldn't see them. Just a weight. And I could hear breathing. Right in my ear. I checked the bed frame. I checked the room. Nothing weird. No bugs, no wires, nothing. But the air in that room was getting heavier each day. Thick. Like humidity, but colder. Then, on her last night, I woke up at 2:41 a.m. to Rachel screaming. I bolted to the room and found her curled in the corner, sobbing, shaking uncontrollably. The bed looked like a tornado hit it, sheets ripped, pillows thrown. She just kept crying. "Don't make me go back in there. Please don't let it pull me back." I drove her to a hotel that night. She left for New Jersey the next day and never spoke about it again. Like Chris, she blocked out the whole thing. I still didn't sleep in the bed. I didn't even go into that room anymore. I shut the door and locked it. For months, I lived in the guest room and tried to forget about it. Until Ben moved in.so. After Rachel left, I started avoiding that room like it was radioactive. I kept the door locked, shoved a towel under the crack at the bottom. You know, the kind of things you do when you're trying to pretend a problem doesn't exist. I told myself I'd eventually sell the bed, maybe even the whole house. But I didn't. And looking back, I think it wanted me to keep it. That's when Ben came in. Ben was one of those say yes to anything kind of guys. We went to college together, tall, lanky, always wore band shirts and those heavy boots like he was expecting to stomp through the apocalypse. He needed a place after his breakup, and I needed help with bills. So when he asked to crash with me for a few months, I didn't hesitate. I told him to take the guest room, of course. I even mentioned the vibe in the master bedroom being weird, trying to play it off casual. But after a week he asked about it. "I don't get why you don't sleep in the master. That bed looks sick." I told him it was just uncomfortable. He raised an eyebrow and said, "Uncomfortable? Man, that thing looks like royalty. I'm moving in there. You can have the guest room back." I told him no. I even got a little heated. But Ben wasn't the type to take subtle warnings seriously. That night, when I got home from a grocery run, the door to the master bedroom was open. Ben was lying across the bed, arms folded behind his head, earbuds in. He gave me a thumbs up. "Dude, this mattress is a dream. You're missing out." That night, around 1:30 a.m., I woke up to what I swear sounded like someone whispering through the vents. A low, breathy hiss, like someone was saying a name over and over but couldn't form the full word. I sat up and just listened, my ears ringing with how quiet the house was otherwise. Then I heard it. A sharp, dragging noise. Like something heavy sliding across the wooden floor. I grabbed a flashlight and walked slowly down the hallway. I paused outside the master bedroom door. It was shut now, even though I knew Ben had left it open. I knocked. No answer. Then, thump. A single loud thump from inside the room. "Ben?" I called, and the door creaked open a couple inches on its own. The flashlight flickered. Yeah, I know, classic horror moment, but I swear to you that actually happened. The beam dimmed like the battery was dying, even though it was new. I pushed the door open and stepped in. Ben was lying in bed still. But something was off. His body was stiff, like way too stiff for sleep. Both arms laid straight at his sides, the covers pulled tight over his chest. His eyes were wide open, locked on the ceiling. I moved closer. His mouth twitched. His breathing was shallow, almost non-existent. "Ben?" I whispered. His head snapped toward me so fast I stumbled back and nearly dropped the flashlight. But it wasn't the speed that got me. It was his smile. He smiled at me like he knew something I didn't. Like I was a joke. Like I was too late. Then, in a voice that didn't sound like Ben's, too calm, too deep, he said, "I get it now. Why they screamed." I froze. "What?" He blinked. The smile dropped. "What?" he said in his normal voice, groggy and confused. I didn't even realize I was backing out of the room until I hit the hallway wall. "You were talking in your sleep," I said, trying to calm my voice. He rubbed his face. "Weird-ass dream, man. Thought you were standing in the room. But you had, like, antlers?" "I dunno, man. That room's got vibes." I should have kicked him out right then. I should have called someone. But I didn't. And the bed, it wasn't done yet. Over the next few days, Ben started changing. Not in huge, obvious ways. But his behavior twisted, subtly. He stopped shaving. Stopped showering, too. His skin got this clammy, grayish tone like he was always cold. He stopped listening to music, which was bizarre, because Ben lived for music. His guitar sat in the corner untouched. He barely left the room. I knock on the door and hear scuffling sounds, like he was walking in circles. I'd call his name, and sometimes he wouldn't answer. Other times, he'd shout something I couldn't quite make out, muffled and harsh. Then came the night I saw him standing at the end of my bed. I woke up at 4:09 a.m. to a soft creak. There he was, silhouetted by the hallway light. Just standing. Watching. "Ben?" I asked, heart hammering. He didn't answer. Just turned around and walked away. I followed him down the hall, but when I reached the master bedroom, the door slammed shut in my face. Locked. I stayed up all night. The next morning, he acted like nothing happened. Swore he never left the room. That night, I stayed up intentionally. Sat on the couch with a kitchen knife in my lap, feeling insane. At 3:38 a.m., I heard footsteps. Slow. Dragging. Then a voice whispered my name. "Nick!" I jumped up, heart pounding. The voice came from the hallway. When I crept closer, I saw the master bedroom door was open again. Ben was standing in front of the mirror. Shirtless. Back to me. Carving something into his chest with a piece of broken glass. I'll never forget what it looked like. A spiral. With jagged lines like branches or cracks shooting out from it. Blood ran down his stomach. But he didn't flinch. I shouted, ran in, grabbed the glass out of his hand and shook him. He didn't resist. He just stared at me, eyes glazed, and said, "It shows me things. It says I'm next." That was it. I drove him to the ER that night. He got stitched up, then checked into a psych clinic. His mom came from Oregon to take him home. He never came back. Never spoke to me again. That night, I locked the master bedroom again. But I couldn't stop thinking about what he said. It says I'm next. So I finally did what I should have done months ago. I went online. And I searched the address of the house. What I found made my blood run cold. After Ben was gone, things got quiet in the house. Too quiet. Not peaceful quiet. I'm talking about the kind of silence that feels thick, like the air is holding its breath. I started sleeping with my TV on just to drown out that feeling of being watched. Because that's how it felt, like the house was waiting. Watching me. Like it missed Ben. Or maybe like it was disappointed. It didn't take long for me to start digging. I had to know what the hell I was dealing with. So I opened my laptop and searched the house's address, just hoping to find some old permit info. Maybe a weird zoning issue, something boring, something explainable. Instead, I found a link to a forum about local hauntings. My exact address was listed there, not just the street, the number. Someone had written a thread titled, "The Devil's Cradle, 1260 Laurel Ridge. Anyone else know the story?" My stomach flipped. I clicked it. The post was from 8 years ago. The user who made it was deleted. But the comments were still there, and holy hell, they told me more than I wanted to know. Apparently, the house was built in 1951 by a guy named Albert Mercer. Wealthy, private, a total recluse. He lived there alone. But after a few years, neighbors started noticing strange things. Screams in the night, boarded up windows, a chimney that never stopped smoking. Cops were called once. Nothing came of it. Then in 1962, Albert was found dead. In the master bedroom. Lying peacefully on the bed, hands crossed over his chest. But here's the part that gave me full-body goosebumps. The report said he had carved the same spiral into his chest. The coroner listed it as suicide. The bed was custom-made. Solid oak. Black lacquered. Engraved with cryptic symbols under the frame. When police tried to remove it from the room, 2 officers had seizures while carrying it. One of them suffered a heart attack and died the next day. They left it. Every single person who lived in the house after that either left suddenly or disappeared. In 1979, a couple bought the house, Terrence and Michelle Dwyer. They remodeled the place. Sold most of the old furniture. Except the bed. No one knows why they kept it. Michelle was later found wandering the streets barefoot, covered in dried blood, whispering, "He said I wasn't enough." Terrence was never found. And then I found something that nearly made me vomit. A grainy photo from a 1982 police file. Black and white. The bed, that exact bed, still sitting in the room. The spiraled carving visible on the floorboards beside it. The caption read, "Item 4B, Master Bedroom, Mercer Bed, unaltered." Unaltered. Meaning, it had never been removed. Not once. The house had changed hands at least 9 times. Different owners. Different tenants. But the bed? It stayed. I slammed the laptop shut. Sat there, shaking. My mouth was dry. My hands felt like ice. I went into the master bedroom. Yeah, I know, dumb move, but I had to see it again. It was just sitting there. Perfectly made, like it was waiting. I checked under the frame. That's when I saw it. Symbols, carved deep into the wood, like someone had gouged them in with a knife. Sharp angles, loops, crosses turned upside down, spirals that overlapped each other. And handprints. Not stains. Actual indentations in the wood. Dozens of them. As if people had clawed at the bottom of the bed, trying to hold on, or trying to escape. I stepped back and almost fell. My breath hitched. That night I didn't sleep. I packed a duffel bag and crashed in my car. But around 2:17 a.m., as I sat there in the driveway, I saw something that I still can't fully explain. The upstairs light, the master bedroom, flicked on. No one was inside. No timers. No motion sensors. No damn reason. Then the blinds tilted. Not fully, just enough to part. As if someone was standing behind them. Watching. I drove away so fast I nearly tore my bumper off on the curb. The next day, I called a priest. Not for a blessing, I needed answers. Father Lane. Quiet guy. Real salt and pepper energy. He agreed to meet me at a coffee shop. I told him everything. Showed him pictures of the bed. The spiral symbol. His face went pale. Like, visibly paler. He pulled a small notebook from his coat and flipped to a page near the back. "Have you seen this?" He slid it across the table. It was a rough sketch, the same spiral. Same branch-like arms curling outward. "That's the sigil of Vayrith," he said. I blinked. "Who?" "Not a demon, technically. More like a force. An old name. A being that feeds on despair and obedience. It doesn't haunt homes, it inhabits things. And once you sleep in its domain, you're marked." Marked. The word made my skin crawl. I asked him what I should do. He looked down at his coffee for a long time, then said quietly, "Destroy the bed." I drove straight home. I didn't even go inside. I went around back through the broken fence, grabbed a can of gas from the shed, and hauled it straight into the master bedroom. I poured gas over every inch of the mattress, the frame, the sheets. I struck the match. And right as I dropped it, the bed breathed. I'm not joking. The mattress rose, just slightly, like something inside it took a deep inhale. The match hit the edge and fizzled out. Just snuffed. No flame. I tried again. Same thing. 5 matches. All dead. And then... a voice. Low. Wet. Right behind me. "You can't burn what was never yours." I turned. Nothing there. Just the mirror on the wall. But my reflection? Smiled out a week after the fire failed. After the voice, the matches, the reflection, I left the house. Not permanently. I couldn't afford that. But I got out for a while. Crashed at my friend Jason's place across town. I didn't say much about what happened. He just thought I was going through a rough breakup or something. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. The spiral. The history. That damn bed. And then... Emily happened. She was a nurse. 29. Sweet, bright-eyed, sarcastic in the way only ER nurses can be. She and I had been on a couple of dates before all this started, and somehow, she stuck around even after I told her the house gave me the creeps. I didn't tell her everything, not at first. I just said I was dealing with weird vibes. She laughed it off. One night, we were out getting drinks. She asked if I wanted to go back to my place. I froze. I told her the bed was haunted. I tried to make it a joke, but she tilted her head and smiled. "Then I'll sleep on the couch." Against every voice in my gut screaming no, I agreed. The house was quiet when we got there. Too quiet, again. Like it was listening. We walked in, and she commented on how cute and creepy it was, like a horror movie set. I didn't tell her how accurate that was. We stayed downstairs, ordered pizza, watched a movie. I had every intention of keeping her on the couch. But around midnight she got up and stretched and said she was going to lay down for a bit. On my bed. "The couch sucks." She laughed, waving me off. I begged her not to. I sounded crazy. Desperate. I told her to trust me. But Emily was stubborn. "Look," she said, touching my arm gently. "I'll just sleep a few hours. If I wake up with my head spinning backwards, I'll apologize in the morning." She walked up the stairs. I didn't follow. I couldn't. I sat in the kitchen, awake all night, the clock crawling past each hour like it was taunting me. At 3:11 a.m., the house made a sound I will never forget. Not a thud. Not a creak. A moan. From the wood. From the walls. From somewhere deep inside. And right after, footsteps. Slow, deliberate, barefoot on the hardwood. I stood up. The kitchen lights flickered. The hallway light above me hissed and blew out. Then silence. I walked to the bottom of the stairs. There was a shadow at the top. For a second, I thought it was her. But then it crouched. Not bent forward like a person, it folded at the knees, backwards, like a marionette breaking its own strings. And it smiled. I turned and ran. Out the door. Onto the lawn. I stood there, heart pounding, staring at the house from the outside. Every window was black, except the bedroom. The light was on. But it wasn't steady. It pulsed like a slow strobe. And in between flashes I saw her silhouette. Not lying down. Standing at the foot of the bed, arms out like she was waiting for something. The next morning, I found her on the floor. Eyes open. Smiling. But she wasn't there. Her pupils were dilated, almost completely black. Her lips were dry, cracked. She didn't respond when I said her name. Just sat there, knees pulled to her chest, rocking slightly. I called 911. The EMTs tried to talk to her. She just kept whispering. "He won't let me go. He's inside the bed. He made me watch. He showed me." They sedated her. The report said she'd had a stress-induced psychotic episode. But I saw the photos the paramedics took before she was loaded into the ambulance. Her back had fresh scratches on it. Not just random claw marks. Letters. Carved in neat, clean lines across her shoulder blades. "You slept where he lives. She's still in a psychiatric ward. Sometimes she draws. Always the same thing. A spiral, with arms like broken fingers reaching outward. I finally told Jason everything after that. He didn't believe me at first. But I think he saw it in my face, the desperation, the fear. I begged him to come help me. I couldn't destroy the bed on my own. I didn't even want to go back in the house alone. So we went. Broad daylight. I brought sledgehammers, gasoline, a goddamn blowtorch. We got to the bedroom, and I swear to you, the moment we opened the door, Jason dropped the hammer. He said he heard breathing. I heard it too. It was under the bed. He knelt down to look, and screamed. I pulled him up so fast he slammed his head on the wall behind us. But it was too late. He wouldn't stop screaming. He didn't even speak full words, just noises. Choked, guttural. He clawed at his ears and bolted out the house, ran into the street, nearly got hit by a car. They found him 2 hours later in a drainage tunnel 3 blocks away. No shoes. No memory of what happened. He still won't talk to me. Now it's just me. Me in this damn house. Me in the bed that breathes when no one's around. And I know what it wants now. I feel it every night. It wants me next. But I have one last idea. I'm going to try it tomorrow. If you don't hear from me again, you'll know why. The night before I went back in, I wrote everything down, every name, every event, every whisper and creak and scream that had soaked into that house. I emailed it to myself, just in case something happened. Just in case I vanished the way Emily did, or lost my mind like Jason. I wasn't scared anymore. No, I was done. The plan was simple, destroy the bed. For real this time. No more half measures. No more trying to outsmart it. Just brute force. It was morning. I waited until after sunrise. Clear skies. Cool air. I parked 2 blocks away so no one would hear what I was doing, or try to stop me. I carried in the sledgehammer first. Then the jerrycan of gasoline. Last, a crowbar I'd wrapped in cloth and dipped in holy water. I don't even know why. Felt stupid doing it, but part of me needed to believe there was something pure I could hold on to. The house was still. Not quiet. Still. Like it had stopped breathing. The air inside felt heavier than I remembered. Not warm, not cold, just thick. Like walking through invisible cobwebs. I could taste it. Dust, old wood, copper, and something rotten underneath it all. I walked straight upstairs. The door to the bedroom was already open. The bed looked the same. Exactly the same. Perfectly made. Sheets stretched tight. Pillow fluffed. It had never looked like that before. As if it were waiting for me. I stepped inside and closed the door behind me. I wasn't even sure why. Maybe I didn't want the house to see. I started with the sledgehammer. Swung it down hard on the headboard. It cracked. Once, twice, splinters flew. The bed groaned. Not like wood cracking. It moaned. Deep. Human. The floor shook. Light bulbs in the ceiling sparked and blew out one by one. I kept swinging. I shattered the frame. Drove the hammer into the mattress. That's when I saw it. Beneath the torn fabric, under the foam, something moved. I dropped the hammer and pulled at the shredded layers with my hands. Foam, springs, coils, until I hit something hard. Wood? No. A hatch. Hidden inside the mattress. I pried it open with the crowbar, heart pounding, and the smell that came out of it hit me like a wall. Like burned hair and spoiled meat. And then I saw it. A tunnel. Narrow. Spiraling downward, wrapped in old, dark wood. Like something built this inside the bed. I stared into the dark for what felt like forever. Then I heard it. A voice. Not a whisper this time, not just in my head. A child's voice. Soft, singing. Lay your head, lay your soul. He lives in the place the broken go. I dropped the crowbar. The singing stopped. Then the sound of crawling. Fast. I grabbed the gasoline, poured it in a circle around the bed, onto the mattress, into the tunnel. Lit a match. And the second the flame hit the fabric, the bed screamed. Not just the bed, the house. Every wall, every board, shrieked in agony. I backed into the hallway as the flames rose. The bedroom pulsed with orange and red. Shadows danced inside, not smoke, shapes. They moved like people, bending and twitching. And then silence. Sudden. Crushing. The fire didn't spread. It vanished. The bed was gone. The room, just charred floorboards and black walls. And the tunnel? Gone. No hatch. No hole. Just burned marks where it had been. It's been 4 weeks. The house is still standing. Quiet. Empty. I put it up for sale. Cheap. No one's interested. Can't imagine why. Jason never came back. Emily's still in the hospital. I visit her sometimes. She doesn't talk much, but a few days ago, she looked up at me for the first time and said, "Thank you?" Then she asked, "Did you see the spiral?" I nodded, and she said, "He'll build it again." I don't sleep much. Not in beds anyway. I crash on the couch, or in the car. Just until I'm sure. Sometimes I wake up and my back hurts like hell. Once, I found a single splinter under my skin, shaped like a spiral. That's it. That's the whole story. If you ever find a bed that's too perfect, that feels too inviting, walk away. Beds are for resting, not opening. And some beds were never meant for sleep.